Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Authentic Podcast with Justin Dougoud. And thank you for tuning in to another episode. It's time!
Okay, we're back. We're live with episode 31 with Mr. Evan Dougoud of BeHeard Movement. Really excited for this one. I'm excited for all of them, but this one's good, man. Always good in person, and I had a lot of good referrals, and I actually have a lot of people that are looking forward to this conversation. So, thank you for coming, and let's get to it, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I am so excited to be on episode 31. That's awesome. 31 episodes, but it's an honor to be here. Honor that I get to share a little bit about what we do. So appreciate you.
Yeah, man. You're my first guest of 2022 as well. So congrats.
Oh, first guest. It's an honor. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. I took the last 3 to 4 months of the end of the year off because we moved back here, and I just got lazy, to be quite frank. But we, changed jobs and did some stuff. So, but we're back, man, and looking forward to hearing about you and your story. So, you look like you're doing extremely big things. I see you on the news all the time, and I asked about local guests that I could get, and they're like, yeah, reach out to this guy. I always say kid because you're younger, but this guy, Evan, do big things. And then as soon as I follow you, you're on the news all the time and growing and then making big announcements. So let's start with you being in Tulsa. To my understanding, you're not from Tulsa.
No, I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, East Coast.
Okay. And so how'd you get to Tulsa?
So that is a long story. However, my dad lives here in Tulsa, and so my parents actually were divorced, and when I was 15, and my dad ended up moving here, right? And so, long story short, he got sick, and so I wanted to move here to get things right with him. So I moved here, and then he got healed, and I've been in Tulsa ever since. And so it was never my plan to move to Tulsa, Oklahoma, because you're from the East Coast, you love the beach, you love the atmosphere, and then Tulsa, Oklahoma, it's just, it was different, but I'm very thankful to land and home in Tulsa.
Yeah, it's not a huge travel destination by any means, but so you never really spent any time here until what, after high school?
Yeah, so I went to college in Pennsylvania to play basketball, and then it just was too much for me, a lot of family stuff going on as well, and then that's when I found out my dad was not doing too well, and so I ended up, moving out here for my dad, and then things have been great ever since. So,
how many days did you spend in Tulsa before you moved out here?
Zero.
So you flew out here, and you were going to temporarily stay, or you were gonna call this home for a while and see how it went?
So I was going to stay here for a year, and then move back to the East Coast, right? And so I'm still here today. So that obviously that was my plan, just stay here for a year and then go back East Coast. And I didn't know there's like much opportunities here in Tulsa, but yeah, still staying here.
What year was that?
So I believe I moved here in 2018. So it's about to be 4 years.
And based on what you're doing here for the city and your traction, this is going to be home, right?
This is home.
Cool,
This is home, yeah.
Well, as a fellow Oklahoman, we're glad to have you. It looks like I said, you're doing amazing things. So, BeHeard Movement, what inspired this, man? I mean, how did this get started? Take me as far back as you want to go.
Right. So
because you're getting so big now, but I want to know the root of it. So
right. So one, I would say my personal experience definitely played a huge part for BeHeard. However, when I moved here, I worked at a nonprofit called Youth Services of Tulsa. They help homeless youth, right? And we were on outreach one day, and we met a young girl, and she was just living in the middle of the woods, in a tent by herself. Super young.
Girl.
Yeah, young girl. And I asked her, like, hey, what's going on? She's, well, I have a home. However, my mom chose her step-boyfriend over me, and so she felt more safe being outside in a tent versus at home in her bed and air conditioning because of her stepdad, her mom. They were very abusive to her, right? And so after hearing that, I was like, man, like what? Like this can't be happening, right? And then I just kept hearing stories and stories like that. And so I was like, so what can I do to help? And so I love stories, right? I love when people tell stories to impact other stories. And so I met with some homeless youth, and they were like, hey, like, let's do some documentaries about a day in our life. And I was like, okay, so what are we gonna call it? They were like, let's do Bridge Talks. And I said, okay, sweet. So we were doing like documentaries under the bridge. However, the bridge is super loud, right? Super loud. You couldn't really hear what they were saying. And then like we went to their camp, and then the number one thing they were saying was they don't feel heard, right? They feel like people look over them because they're so young, or people just label them, right? And so people are like just not even looking at them or hearing them. So they just want to be heard, seen, and loved. And so I was like, okay, let's call it, Be Heard. And so that's how the name started, was, just trying to amplify voices to be heard in our community for, a transformational difference.
I was gonna say, the girl you're talking about, that's on your website, right?
Yes.
That's like one of the cover stories per se.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody has a different reason why they became homeless or on the streets or ran away and ended up that. And a lot of people think it's, as bad as it sounded blunt, it's like, oh, just get a job. And like, this is not a girl to get a job. This is a girl that's having like parental issues.
Yeah.
And you said it's really ridiculous that she'd rather be in the woods on the street than be at home.
Yeah, I mean, she's not even legal to even like get a job.
Exactly.
She's so young, so she can't even get her ID or a birth certificate. She's so young, right? And so there's a lot of barriers, to obviously get out of homelessness, but just to manage life day to day.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to bounce around, but that's kind of how my brain works. But when people always say a lot of people look in this first thing say is get a job, and one of my first references, and I know you're a basketball guy, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, is like, it's not always money. Right. There are millionaires who become homeless because of, substance abuse or mental issues or mental health issues, like Delonte West.
Yeah.
Like I said, as a basketball guy, I figured you would know that. Former millionaire, and was in the league 4 to 5 years ago. Yeah, it was for a little bit. And then some of his old teammates see him on the side of the highway, and they're like, "Yo, it's Delonte. Like, what's going on?" And just not mentally right. Right. A guy who could probably still play in the league or had it all was on the streets. So it's not always money or get a job. I think it's something deeper. Right. So you start going out and kind of like vlogging with these people and videoing and trying to get their stories heard, right? And this is just a hobby and kind of like something that you're passionate about on the side. So where does it go from there? So
we were doing like, mini documentary series at first, and then somebody told me, hey, you need to make this a nonprofit. And I was like, no. One, because that's a lot of business, a lot of extra work. Mm-hmm. No, I said, if people want to donate, they'll just donate on their good heart. And that only can get you so far. Obviously, like as a business, you need money to operate, but you need funds to operate as well to help more people, right? And so I ended up, making it a nonprofit. And then like ever since that step, it's just been taken off, right? And so, and then in 2020, in the December, we got blessed with some funds by Transformation Church to purchase our first mobile shower trailer, right? And so that was one of my goals. Was people are complaining that there's nowhere to shower, there's nowhere to have a private safe shower. And I've seen people shower in storm drains, at Quick Trip, in the river. And so I was like, man, that's not how can you feel confident to go get a job if you're showering in a storm drain? That can mess your confidence up. And so I said, all right, we got to get a mobile shower trailer. And obviously, like, we didn't have the funds at all for that. And so by the fact that Transformation Church blessed us with the funds to purchase that, I mean, that helped not only us, but people we serve, right? So people are now being able to take those clean showers and things like that, right? And so we went from doing documentaries on my busted camera. I had some snack packs. So now we're doing showers. And then fast forward to today, like, we have a mobile shower trailer. We actually have two now, a mobile laundry trailer and a mobile barber shop, right? And then we're actually about to purchase tomorrow a mobile clothing trailer, right? Oh, wow. And so it's just so cool how just like one step of just like, I don't know, can help other people. Yeah.
Do you have any current end goal with people to get, you're getting them a shower, you're getting them a haircut, you're getting them clothes. Are you guys trying to send these people on their way to trying to get job interviews, or just kind of get back up on their feet and get some confidence and be like, feel human again? Because I think a lot of those things we take for granted. I mean, literally yesterday, the city came and had a water issue down the road, and our water was shut off for 2 hours. And it was like everybody in the neighborhood, like opening their doors, like, what's going on? And you don't realize something until you don't have it. And these people deal with it every day. And I think giving them those small things back can probably change their life, or at least their week or their month.
Right.
People just don't realize that, getting a fresh haircut, getting a shower, and maybe a $30 pair of clothes can really take your morale from the ground to the sky.
Yes. And so how we operate is we operate as a mobile drop-in center. And so what that means is that means we are a mobile drop-in center. So we provide services all over Tulsa through our trailers and things like that, right? So we also provide like basic needs like showers, haircuts, laundry, but we're also providing resources like housing, food stamps, birth certificates, and now we're adding dental right then and there, right? And so,
did you say dental?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we just locked in a deal with a good dental company that provides, going to do dental outreach with us. And so, on the street is, you're not really too concerned about good dental, so this is a huge game changer. But that's our goal, is to help restore dignity, restore confidence for a person, and then help them in their homelessness, right? And so we don't want to be just showers or just laundry, right? We want to help them meet whatever goal they have. And so we actually have a job program as well called Project Orange, where we hire 1 to 3 people who are experiencing homelessness each month, and they work with us at our outreaches, right? So a lot of people they want those jobs, but just that confidence to get a job, or it's been a while, can really hold somebody back, right? And so our vision was to kind of like be the the middle guy of having them come work with us, learn job skills, build that confidence to work, and then help them find long-term sustainable employment. And so there's a lot of cool different areas, but like I said, our vision was to be a mobile drop-in center where we have basic needs and also resources all over Tulsa. And
did I see correctly, you correct me if I'm wrong, but the Transformation Church, they're pledging a lot of money for the next 3 years. Is that correct?
Yes. So, which is wild. It makes me just smile because I actually left my job.
I saw that.
December 1st, right? And so I left it in faith. I was like, okay, BeHeard's just it's growing. I need to leave my job to do this full time. However, I was going to take a significant pay cut, right? And so I left my job on December 1st. I think it was 11 days after that, Transformation Church blessed us with $100,000 for the next 3 years, each year.
That's what I thought.
And with that, it was huge because now we're able to obviously like pay staff, but also really expand our services and make our services more or take it to the next level, right? And so that was just a huge, just a blessing that I did not even see coming. And because of that, we're gonna help so many people this year, and I think we're gonna triple our impact from last year.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I had a lot of people ask about that too, just because they're kind of unaware how nonprofits work, or how it is for you. Like you said, you were working, probably doing this, get off work and then put in more work on this, but now you're able to do it full time. Yeah. And that's the way it works. Is some of those funds, as you grow and get bigger, they go back to salaries for a small amount of employees. That's correct?
Yeah. So I know for us, our goal is to hire case managers as well. So an important piece to get people housed or help people in their homelessness are case managers. So what that is people who help build plans for each specific person to help them in their homelessness, right? And so develop community plans, develop housing plans to help them, like I said, to end their homelessness, right? And so we need funds to hire case managers to help in homelessness for more people, right? And so a lot of it, not a lot of it, but majority of it does go to staff, but also program services as well. However, you need staff to do this because I can't do this alone. If I do, this is not gonna last too long.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be a cool like marathon or sprint, but this is a marathon. So we want to really be mindful of how we strategically help people, and it's with other people.
Did you ever see it getting this big? I know you you had a lot of passion for it, but is this is this something you saw it ever getting this big? I told her I would say it, but give a shout out to your friend and
Yes.
a former college classmate, Jessica.
Yes.
She had said she just remembered the days of talking with you about how it was more of a dream than a reality, and how you wanted to make an impact, and you were making a small difference but didn't know how big it would grow. And talk about it a little bit. Did you see it getting this big, man?
So, well, I want to say I love her so much. She actually gave me a book. It's called Welcome Home or Welcome Homeless. And that book really transformed like my thinking and like my life of outreach, right? And I just want to say thank her for just doing that, sowing that small seed, which generated more seeds thrown or sown in our community. So that was huge. But I would say yes and no. I believe that I didn't see it growing this fast. However, I knew one day, whatever that day was, it was going to be just a huge, not as an organization, but huge impact, right? And so, however, it's just, it was discouraging because you see people's needs, you hear them, you see people cry, you see people freeze to death, right? And you can do nothing to help that, right? So that's one thing that was really discouraging or really just hard to manage, right? Was seeing people like freeze to death that you outreach for a long time, and then now they're gone, right? And there's nothing you can do about that. That part is very frustrating. However, I did see us having a huge impact on our city eventually.
You got any unique success stories for us? I know you're still pretty early on in the game, but
we have quite a few, man. And so we actually have a homeless cooking show. It's called Streets.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I met the guy. His name is Tim, and he was at his camp. He had a little stove, and I was like, "Hey, man, like, what you cooking?" And then he said he's just cooking his typical meal. And then I told him, "Hey, I do documentaries. Like, let's tell your story." He's like, "Yeah, I'm all about that." And then I was like, "So what would be a cool way to kind of tell your story?" He's like, "Well, let's do it while I cook." I was like, "A homeless cooking show?" And he was like, "Yes." And so this is kind of his idea. He actually got so excited that he made meals, right? And he made he said he wanted to do a homeless cooking show. So I brought my camera, didn't know how to record a cooking show. And I think every Saturday I would pick him up and we'll take him to the park, and he would cook these good meals. Like the very first meal he made it's called chana masala, and I had no clue what that was. However, it was very, very good. And then the next week he made like chicken fajitas, and I mean these fajitas were good. I said, "Bro, like what? We need to get you like your own like cooking place."
Yeah, why are you not cooking for a restaurant or something?
Right. And he actually used to a long time ago. Just obviously life happened and just struggled a lot, but I mean, he the way he charcoaled that chicken with honey was amazing. So, but that was his idea, and we just kind of ran with it. And now he's actually housed, right? And so it went from Streets to Homeless Cooking Show to now we're doing the home edition, right? And so it's pretty cool because even people who like watched it, they viewed him in one season being a homeless chef, and now he's a home chef. And so I count that as a success for us, and just seeing him grow, seeing him just being so passionate about food.
What do you mean by home chef?
Like he's a home now, and so
so he is not homeless anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was homeless and he was cooking. Now has a home, no more homelessness, and then he cooks from home now. And so I just saw him on Monday. I was like, "Hey, bro, like, what if BeHeard had a like mobile food truck? Like, would you want to be the senior chef?" He was like, what? And so I think one of our next goals is to have a like food truck that employs people who are experiencing homelessness, that help them get their food handler permit and get that job and get a paycheck. So
yeah, it's a little different, but somewhere we like try to frequent and enjoy those programs, helping out people who are on their feet. But we take our dogs to the groomers at Muddy Paws, and what they do is they help transition incarcerated women. And because a lot of, I mean, different light but similar suspects, people that get out of jail, man, a lot of times they have a hard time getting a job, or given a chance, or kind of like the same thing with homelessness. If on paper you see their record and people are automatically write it off, but at Muddy Paws they take them from Oklahoma, formerly incarcerated women, and give them a training program and an opportunity, and they have a really high success rate. So
yeah, that's incredible. I love that.
Just kind of the same thing, just people getting a different shot and really getting an opportunity and kind of looking past the things that have been, and people change and things happen. So
yeah, that's beautiful.
I did have some questions I wanted to pepper in, so I don't forget them. One of the questions, have you ever encountered a situation where you feel like your niceness has been taken advantage of?
I would say, so the question was, have I ever encountered a situation that my niceness was taken advantage of?
Yes.
I would say that's almost like a daily thing, not just with outreach, but with life. You know, people will always take advantage of you. One thing I always say is I can't control what I've been handed, but I can control what I hand back. And so, like, their response doesn't dictate how I treat them. And so, obviously, like, you're nice and you know, you want to help people, but obviously people won't take advantage of you and things like that, right? And so, just kind of being self-aware and knowing who you are, so that won't really fully discourage you, right? Because that could kind of take some out of just, oh, I'm not gonna help nobody no more, right? That's a form of trauma, right? That I see often even with outreach, right? I see many people, oh, I'm gonna start an outreach, and then it lasts for like a year, right? Because it's not as what social media seems like. Oh, I gave somebody a sandwich, and then they cried, and then, you know, it just was a beautiful moment. I mean, that happens, but it's like, it's more so about doing life with somebody, right? And so just being aware of, you know, yourself first. Like I tell our team, you can't pour out of an empty cup, right? Like if you don't feel like up to it, or you feel kind of drained, stay home, because really, like,
Sure.
I think people on the street, they deserve your best self, and as a team, we deserve your best self, right? And so I try to encourage people, like, hey, like, you need to be mindful of who you are and how, like, empty you are, and rest is very important too.
Sure. I took that approach, or I tried to take that approach whenever, if I would see people asking for money. I had been burned by several people.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen,
Right,
no matter what type of person you're dealing with. And so then I took the approach and said, okay, if someone's asking for money, then instead I'll say, hey, well, what's your need? You know, I don't want to give cash, but what do you need? If you're hungry, or if you need a ride, or if you need like a tank of gas. And then I think that was a good way for people to really show if they, hey man, I'm just trying to get some money for food. So like, well, let's just meet right here, and I'll buy your food right now. And I've done that.
Yeah.
And then I decided that, like you said, trying to give my best, and it's not really my business what happens elsewhere, because it's nothing to me, and it could be change their week, month, year.
Right.
So if someone burned me on that, hey, you know what I mean? I bought someone a $10 meal that didn't hurt me much, but it could have changed their whole outlook and whole perspective. And I think that's part of life, is if some people are going to take advantage of you, but you know, you got to take it with a grain of salt and move on. That's just how it goes. So ways to donate animal items through you. Do you guys do that as well, or you
said animal items
for animals? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So actually, I mean, this is pretty funny, but we see a lot of dogs, and like what if we had like a mobile dog, like grooming for people on the streets? You know, their dogs, you know, aren't really, you know, as clean as they should be.
Sure.
Could be, you know. And so, but so to donate those items is, you can just message us through social media, or you can fill out our contact form on our website at BeHeardMovement.com, and Instagram social media is BeHeard.mvmt movement.
And we know I saw you had the storage unit taking donations, and I know you mentioned sometimes they can be overwhelming because people want to donate, and it can take time to sort through, and then there's some things you need and don't need, but people just want to give. What items do you guys need overall? What are the big things that you guys use, and maybe some things you don't need that people might think? Right.
And so, well, me, I used to be a retail store manager a long time ago, so I love inventory. I love it. Right. And so, we try to hold on to much stuff as we can. Like, we're trying to prep for the summer, or we're trying to make sure we have a lot of winter selections for people.
Change with the seasons.
Yeah. And so, however, we take anything. Obviously, like, gently used is preferred, right? Well, news, you know, be awesome too, but
absolutely.
Gently used is preferred. Like, you know, stuff for hoes we don't take, but we take anything, you know, from dog collars to coats to gloves to toothpaste. You know, now we're getting our mobile laundry trailer. We need detergent. We need you know, just a lot of anything at this point, because when it goes so fast, we do a lot of outreach during the week, and it just goes so fast. So yes, our storage unit gets full, but also gets really empty sometimes as well.
What would you say an average day is for you? You're saying mobile outreach unit, so and I'm sure your days are never the same, so it could be hard to answer.
Yeah.
But next Tuesday, what are you doing next Tuesday? Are you waking up and you're popping up shop as anywhere you can, or?
Right. So how the week looks like for us? So we do outreach 4 to 5 times a week with our mobile unit, right? And so let's say on Tuesdays we're in North Tulsa, right? So we'll bring all our trailers, all our vehicles to North Tulsa, do like a pop-up event, pop-up experience of outreach, right? And so we'll provide services for free there, provide resources, provide, games, arts and crafts there as well. And so we like a big old fleet just going down the interstate, right? And so take all our vehicles there, set up, and then we do outreach typically from like 9 to 12 or like 1 to 4 at locations. And then just love on people.
Is there anything you're not doing right now?
Well,
you've got mobile shower, laundry, crafts, food. I mean, you're bringing the works, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So next, we do want to focus on housing. There's such a lack of affordable housing in Tulsa. There's a severe lack of affordable housing in Tulsa. We want to meet that need, right? And so one day we would love to have housing, and one day I would love to be back on a podcast and say, hey, we got all these housing or all these apartments and things like that to house people. So that's one of our next goals or next investments. I have no clue even when that will be, but hopefully soon.
Sure. I got some more questions for you from Brooklyn, who was another recommendation.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if you know her or not. I know she follows your stuff pretty heavily.
Cool.
Most common reason people fall to homelessness, if there is an individual one.
Right. And so I think Tulsa is a little different. We see about 90% people we serve are have mental health, right? And so that could be depression, anxiety, things like that, right? And so we see that a lot. However, we see a lot of like family abuse. So a lot of domestic violence as well. So I think last year it was like 46% of people who are homeless, were fleeing domestic violence, right? So people who felt unsafe at home or unsafe with their partner, now they're on the street because they feel safe, right? Now they're sheltered because they feel safe, right? And so we see a lot of that, and then we see a lot of just, since the COVID, a lot of job loss as well. However, Tulsa, I feel like it's pretty, not broad, but there's each year kind of fluctuates, right? So last year was domestic violence. This year, a lot of youth homelessness arose because, COVID, a lot of youth were home. Now they couldn't, get along with the parents and things like that. And so youth homelessness has arose as well. But like I said, it's more so like domestic violence. I
think people really underestimate, whether good or bad, getting into like a rhythm or a habit or like a mental state, how bad it can be to get out of or get in.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy because I met a guy when he first became, experiencing homelessness, and now I know him to this day. His mental health has gotten worse on the street because not having a home, not having those basic needs can make your mental health worse, right? And so we see that where the longer you're on the street, the worse your mental health gets. So
yeah, and especially with no professional counseling, and then
right.
Your morale's bad, and you see people drive by.
Right.
Right. I think everyone gets caught up in the monotony of work and life and stuff, and I catch myself doing it all the time. And I have I'm fortunate, and I don't have many issues at all.
Right. And
I'm like, oh, it's Thursday, and I've just kind of crept through this week and just kind of checked the boxes, and I've kind of checked out. So I can't imagine someone who has deep mental health issues or was being abused at home or is trying to get their next meal. They're just trying to see the next hour, the next day, or maybe find a warm place to sleep and not freeze. And
right.
I just try to empathize with that, and I think a lot of people neglect the fact of, you could get in that flow negatively, and when you're surrounded by those other people and just kind of patch your days together.
Right.
I don't think people understand that they might wake up and be like, oh my God, I've been out here for a couple months, but I've made it. I've gotten by barely.
Right.
And then, like you said, not having a clean set of clothes, not having a haircut. I mean, those to us, those are little things, right?
Yeah.
I get my haircut every couple of weeks, and it's a little thing. To these people, this is a huge deal.
Yeah. And so that haircut piece is special because obviously they're trying to just survive. But the haircut piece, just seeing before and after photos of people, seeing them smile, it's amazing. But y'all know, my elementary school, they asked us hey, what do you want to be when you get older? Nobody put homeless, right? And so not a lot of people really want to be homeless. They just find themselves there, and it's just super hard to get out, right? And so it's always tough to hear those stories.
Yeah, I think there's definitely outliers of everything, but that's another response I hate is, well, there's some people who like it, or some people who want to do it, and I'm sure there's a ridiculously small fraction of those people. But that's a great quote or point you said. I don't think anyone in the world is ever like, I want to be homeless. I think they get there and maybe they're just used to it, or maybe they're accustomed to it. But I think 99.9% of normal people in a normal mental state would not want to sleep on the street. That's just ridiculous to assume.
They would not want to like take a shower in a storm drain. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I guess when you get there, you get so burnt out by the system, you give up. It's like, no, I want to be homeless because I don't think I can do it. And so I see that quite often.
Yeah. And good point you brought up with the before and after pictures. Some of those success stories too, maybe not yours specifically, but the ones that go viral, you see this guy who is, super roughed up, very dirty, very beaten shirt, long scraggly hair and beard. You're looking at maybe $60 to $100, and that could go up or down with a haircut, new shirt and jeans, and then a shower. And he looks like a brand new man. It literally looked like a guy who'd been on the street for a month, and then it looks like a guy who just left an office job.
Right.
You would have no idea if the pictures didn't tell you this guy's been on the streets for a year, all for probably less than $100.
Right.
Maybe even less, depending on how much it all costs. So, I guess with that being said, such a small thing could go a long way, and it's a big impact I think you're making, man. Do you your barbers?
Yes.
Are these guys volunteers, or do you guys have barbers on full-time status yet, or how does that work?
The past couple months, all our barbers have been volunteers, right? And without the volunteers, we would not do this. We could not do this, because if people didn't volunteer to cut haircuts, nobody would feel good about themselves. Nobody would have that before and after photo, And so we heavily rely on volunteers. However, since we have our mobile barbershop now, we have a barbershop director. Her name is Renee, and so she's actually on our team now. And so she's the one that coordinates with the barbers and things like that. And so having her around is a huge blessing to us, because she's going to school right now to be a teacher, to teach like cosmetology and how to teach people how to cut hair and things like that, right? And so just having her, just knowing that knowledge and helping people is taking us to the next level. So
how would the average Joe who can't cut hair, aka myself, be a good volunteer? How do you guys utilize other volunteers who maybe can't cut hair?
So there's always volunteer opportunities, especially us having more trailers. And so we have people who need people to clean our showers at each shower, people to do check-in stations, people to do our clothing closet, people to do our laundry section. So there's always areas to volunteer. And we're about to launch a program, right? Community groups for the street, and they're called herd groups, right? So doing some research for a while, I found out that people, even in Tulsa, they don't have that strong community, right? Obviously people do outreach, right, which is great, but they don't have that life connection, that community with people, right? And so this year we want to build intentional community for transformational living, right? And so what that is one person who is experiencing homelessness, they'll have 2 to 3 people, volunteers, to be around them, to support them and to help them. So the volunteers would work 2 hours a month, and they would spend time with that one person, taking them bowling, taking them putt, taking them out to eat, to just really spend time, build community with them. That's one thing that is missing within our community. I've seen many people get housed, and they get so depressed at their house because they have nobody. You're on the street, everybody kind of looks out for everybody, but then you get housed, you're by yourself, like, okay, I have nobody, I'm depressed, I want to go back out, And so we want to make sure people feel seen, loved, and heard through community.
It's interesting you bring that up because, it's probably been 8 or 9 years ago, but I had a roommate, and like I said, we try to do our part, and if I can buy someone lunch, I can do it easy, no skin, and I enjoy it. And so my roommate met a guy, and he said, hey, I bought this guy lunch. And I was like, okay, cool. And then he said, I'm gonna try to meet up with him tonight. He just said he wants a pair of shoes. I said, okay, easy, because he was barefoot. And then so we met up with him, and we're like, hey, we're just gonna take you to Walmart, and then get what you need. like if you want some, because he had a backpack and some food and all that. And so, anyways, we got him some shoes, and he said, I have a guitar, but the strings are broken. So then we're just looking out for him. And long story short, I was like, hey man, I have a bunch of t-shirts that are lightly worn. I just, you can have them because you don't have, he had 2 outfits to his name. And then he said, okay, sounds good. He's like, yeah, I'll go give them to so-and-so and so. And I was like, well, who's that? And then Joe and this and down there. And I was like, well, these are for you.
Oh, wow.
I want to give you these shirts. But he was like, no, I'll give them. I only need 1 or 2. I'll give them to you. And I just instantly, he was saying all these things he's needed, but he was going to go turn around and give them to somebody else. And I was like, well, they're yours to do what you want with, but I was intending to give them to you. But his name was Thomas, and he was a super interesting guy. He said, we pretty much gave him the pick of the litter at Walmart, just like, go get what you want and just come up to the front and we'll swipe it. And then, if you want to try to take some canned goods, that, because he was very, he was on his way. He said, I'm going down to Corpus Christi for the summer because it's about to get cold here.
Wow.
And all he wanted was a pair of shoes and some guitar strings and didn't take anything else. I was like, are you sure, man? And he just refused, but he was an awesome guy.
That's beautiful because, community is needed, right? We all need community. And so, I bet anybody even listening can look on their phone and say, how many people are on my phone and on my contacts that are paid to be around me? Not that many people are paid to be around us, right? But people on the street, it's the opposite. Everybody's kind of paid, quote unquote, to be around you, right? Your case managers, your counselor, the shelter staff, they're all paid to be around you, right? And that could make you feel like I'm not hanging out with my Allstate insurance agent, right? Because they're paid to be around me, right?
Like you got to be there,
right? And so I think the key part is having volunteers who are not paid to be around people who are experiencing homelessness, because that just builds like, hey, I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm just here just for you. And so that's what we want to build, that atmosphere, and to hopefully build like transformational community.
I think a lot of those programs for impacted youth help a lot too, and maybe could prevent long term, like Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Someone who maybe not maybe doesn't have like a role model to look up to maybe get to that before it gets too late to experience homelessness, and try to prevent early. So so I know for doing this for a while, the first, I think it's 13 days when somebody gets moved in are the most critical times to support them, right? Moved into their home? Yeah, moving to a home, right? And I see it all the time, like the first 13 days are super rough for people coming from sleeping on a rock to sleeping on a mattress, right? Even with the mattress part, I had a lady, she was homeless for 10 years, right? 10 years sleeping in her bamboo. We got her housed. She didn't sleep on a mattress for like 2 months. Just slept on the ground? Because
the mattress hurt her back.
Wow.
Yeah, and
that's so crazy to kind of visualize, right?
She felt more comfortable on the floor than the actual mattress. The mattress hurt her back. But by being there to support, being in her community, now she's sleeping in the bed. Now she's waking up, stretching in the bed, and so it's stuff like that really just, it's like, man, that's crazy.
I think that all traces back to that mentality.
Yeah.
Like if you asked any person in a right mental state that has been in a normal state, it's like, would you rather have a bed or would you rather have a tile floor? It's like, almost no one would choose a tile floor to sleep on. But this woman has been so accustomed to it. That's her, like you said, that's her normal.
Right.
And it literally hurt her back to sleep on something that you should be sleeping on.
Right.
People, they just really try not to, or maybe they don't think like that, or they don't process it. And maybe this could educate them a little bit.
Right.
But when you get into a normal flow, unfortunately, even if it's negative, it is your normal.
Yeah.
And it can be ridiculously hard to break that.
Yeah.
And it goes, the same way for doing a good thing. Like, your company or your nonprofit organization is just compounding and growing. I ask people, hey, who can I have? And they're like, you and 2 and 3 people. And then you're on the news. And then you're like, I want to do this full time and I'm going to do it. And then you get, $300,000 pledge from a major church. It's crazy. It just, I think prosperity creates more prosperity. Mm-hmm. And I think, unfortunately, sometimes negative things can go a long way as well, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I just feel like people can tell like the heart behind Be Heard is pure. Like, we're not doing this, to for money. We're not doing this to take pictures of people. We're doing this because we see a need and we really want to just help, right? And so thankfully the community of Tulsa, even the city, they're so behind it. And that's nothing. I'm 26. There's nothing I could present to make myself sound good. It's just we're out here doing it, and people see it, right? And they want to help. They see the good energy. They see like, oh, these people are having fun, but they're also getting people house. Like, let's support them. And so that's what we want, just to help people right where they're at and just build community with them.
Did you have a breaking moment in this at all where you were kind of like, okay, this is on the side and I'm doing good things and I have an impact? Was there ever like a light bulb moment where you're like, I could do this full time, or this is going to get big. This is it.
Right. I think literally the first day we shot a video, I was like, oh yeah, like this is big. Not in terms of like this would make a lot of money, but this is big impact wise. Like this
can grow and gain steam.
I want this to be so contagious that people like, you know what? I can't help but to help. I can't help but to treat my coworker with kindness. I can't help but treat my neighbor what's your name? You know, I just want to be so contagious that people just got to help other people.
I thought that was really like a really good point you made with having the caseworkers and having some of the, the legality there, but you're like, who's this guy? It's like, oh, this is Evan. What's Evan do? Like, Evan's just here for you. Like, this is Evan. He just coming to kick it. Because like you mentioned, if it's like kind of mandated, you're like, oh, this guy's got to do it, and he's checking a box or he's getting paid. But this is Evan, and Evan's doing this because he has a passion for it and he wants to help me, and he just knows I'm just a person. And 10 years ago, I could have been on top of the world, but here I am, and maybe I can get back there. So
yeah, it's crazy because like the locations we park at, people are waiting for us and they help us set up. Like, hey, no, we're here for you. No, like, we're helping you set up. And it's amazing. And, after doing this for a while, one day I was having like a really rough day and I tried not to like show it. Somebody on the street pulled me to the side and said, hey, bro, like, what's going on?
This guy knows you now.
Yeah, huh? I was like, yo, I'm about to cry. Like, you know me. And it's just that's so beautiful. That shows like, hey, like, yes, like you're helping us, but we want to help you as well. And it's amazing. Like even at our job program, we have a guy, his name is Ben, and he is such a phenomenal worker, and he loves to help people. He's been in our job program for a little bit. He knows more about that, how to set up a trailer than I do. Like he's so passionate about, okay, the water's turned on, the hot water's good, AC's on. He loves it, right? It just gives him like, he loves to give back. He loves to see people win. It's just seeing him just like kind of informing me about like the trailer. It's just like, man, like we're out here. That's our why.
You're probably already at this point, or if you're not now, then you will be. But I get this notion that you're probably at your max because you're growing with people and volunteers, and you can't be at every place in one time.
Yeah.
And so, but I still have this perception in my head that even if the works pulls up, like the trailer, the clothes, the laundry, they're like, where's Evan at? Like it's not just those resources. I feel like you're this face, and if you're not there, all your people that you have an impact on that know you, they're like, oh, okay, well, where's Evan? What's Evan doing? Where's Evan?
Yeah.
Evan's gone, or Evan's not feeling well today or something. I feel like you're just the face of this brand in such a good way.
Yeah.
That it's not just all the assets or the necessities that come with it. It's you and your personality. It's crazy that you mentioned that this guy who quote unquote knows you, but probably doesn't, known you 6 months, a year, and he's like, what's going on today? And especially when you're trying to put a cover up, and he could kind of see that.
Yeah, it blows my mind. And I also think the key is,
I think it speaks to your character.
Appreciate that. I think the key is having we have an amazing team. Like they love, they serve, they clean so well, right? And I think if I'm not there, like I've always taught as a leader, like you want to train somebody to kind of replace you, right?
Take the job one day,
right.
Yeah.
And so I'm confident that if I'm not there, there are people on our team who can lead, who can just love on people, right? And because there's coming a time where I won't be at every outreach. I'll be doing more so of the backside, however, but the team is just so eager to love on people and do this thing in excellence. So
I'm sure in a very short time you're gonna gonna be on phone calls all day or talking to people. Man, I miss when I was out there talking to people, and now I guess that just comes with growth, though.
Yeah, it does. That's gonna be very challenging for me. I love being on the field.
You can tell.
However, I'm gonna figure out where I can always be on the like at least 1 day a week or 2 days a week. I'm on the field because I want to be there, versus on the computer doing presentations, which is needed. That comes with growth, right? But however, I really want to just see my people too.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah.
For people who aren't in the area, maybe in other states of Oklahoma,
Right.
but like I said, I think you got a pretty decent following, man,
Yeah.
with all your coverage and the big things you're doing. For people who maybe couldn't volunteer or in a different city, is there like an Amazon wish list or, just donate money online or?
So one huge way that I hear all the time is to spread awareness is by just even reposting a post, right? We've gotten so many so many people from other states like, hey, I found out about what you're doing through a share, right? And now I want to help. How do I help, right? And so by sharing is so powerful, so powerful. However, we're actually working on how to volunteer virtually.
Okay.
We're still in the beginning phase. So people who are like in, Florida, they'll be able to volunteer with us here in Tulsa digitally, right? And so I'm very excited about the opportunity. Obviously, like we're in beginning phases, but I think
is that just going to be like having a virtual buddy, like kind of like a pen pal? But
yes, I think right now it'll be at the check-in station. It'll be like a huge like iPad, and the person will be there checking people in on the iPad. So, but we're trying to find more creative ways for people to all over the world to volunteer, and so I think that would be a game changer even for other nonprofits. I try to reach out who's doing this virtually volunteering, and nobody's really doing it, right? Nobody knows how to. So, okay, like let's try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we want to just find ways for people all over the world to witness like what we're doing here in Tulsa.
Another question from Brooklyn. She sent quite a few. So,
Yay!
What would you say is one of your most favorite things about this? Maybe unorthodox outside of all the conversation we had, and then maybe one of your hardest parts of the job.
Right.
If
so
you kind of had to single those down.
I think my favorite thing about this is, obviously seeing people get housed, but seeing people progress in their journey. And so just seeing somebody from day one kind of not talking to nobody, kind of, standoffish, to now they're helping, they're laughing, they're smiling. You see their growth, you see their energy change. That's a huge blessing to witness. I believe the hardest thing to witness is the frustration, the tears. Obviously, like seeing people freeze to death is super hard, super traumatic for us to see. So that's super hard as well. But it's just there's a lot of difficult moments, difficult things you see on outreach as well. Like I said, you help people, or I should say, you walk alongside somebody for so long, and then they're just not alive no more. That's very tough to bear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so for the people that want to volunteer, who are out of state or out of the area, you say the best way to do that is stand by for the virtual volunteering. That's correct?
Yes. So hopefully we can get that up and running. Like I said, we're in beginning phases. However, we're trying to just figure that part out, and then we'll post about it on our website, social media, so stay involved. But like I said, the most thing they can do right now is share a post, or like I said, you can donate financially as well. We're doing a sponsor a shower. How Netflix is like $8 a month or something like that. We're doing sponsor a shower for $9 a month. I can get somebody a clean shower, new pair of clothes, and some hygiene, right? And so $9 a month, you can really change one person's life in here in Tulsa.
And you can sign up to do that monthly, and it just kind of like autographs?
Yes. So that's actually launching in February.
Okay.
So that'll be out very, very soon.
Do you have any other big news for us? I feel like everything we talk about is like big news, big release. Like you just got on with the company full time. You got the $100,000 a year pledge.
Yeah.
You got a new trailer. Anything else that you can say or that's in the works?
There's a lot I could say.
Feel free to share as much or as little as you can or want.
So one day our goal, and I have no clue when this is going to happen. Our goal is to take all our trailers and go on tour to a lot of cities who reached out to us. They go on tour and just love on cities, right? Take what we have here and go for like 2 weeks and just go on a BeHeard tour of all these trailers, all these vehicles, and just love on cities and inspire cities to do this in their own city as well. So one day we'll be going on tour, and I think that would be huge to just be a part of.
Wow, a tour, that would be amazing.
Yeah. You
think that's pretty realistic to do in the next 3 to 5 years, or is that something that's just a goal?
I see you like 4 years for that. But right now, like I said, we just want to focus on our Oklahoma state, make sure that they're good and they're seen, they're loved, they're heard, and also just do something wild that a nonprofit going on tour, that's very odd, but just do something different and be creative, and then love on other cities as well. Hopefully that something ignites each city that they're like, you know what, we gotta do this our own selves. Like how can we help? How can we partner? So
when you started this, or when you left college, or did you graduate or leave college?
No, I did 2 years.
When you did 2 years, when you come out, what did you plan to do? Did you have a plan, or were you
I went to school for counseling. So I wanted to have my own rec center where I can counsel like kids with just from bad backgrounds, young kids from bad backgrounds. Because I know I needed it when I growing up.
So you always wanted to help in some way.
I always wanted to help. I just didn't know kind of what that looked like. And then even in my family, even from generations, they've always helped people. And so it's just kind of been really just in me. And just living it out so young, it's been just mind-blowing, but I'm so thankful at the same time.
You think that big heart has anything to do with your last name, Dougoud? Is that really your last name?
I think I got goosebumps, but that's so wild how that happened. How last names Dougoud, and it's just you can't make that up. Like it seemed like I was just born just to love on people, help people, and just help in homelessness too. However, BeHeard, we're not just gonna just focus on homelessness. Obviously that's a huge piece, but I've always wanted to do like prison outreach, or go to like low income like apartments, Section 8 apartments, and just like do a big old pop-up event out there and help people who actually have apartments but just like not really or they're struggling a lot, So I see BeHeard branching into other aspects of the community, even the hospitals too, and so I'm very excited for how this is all going to play out.
Yeah, excuse me. I've taken an interest in like looking into people that are incarcerated and come out, and it's just so intriguing to me because I see where people are coming from when it can be difficult to give someone a second chance who committed a crime, and depending on the severity of it. But at the same time, I mean it's just my opinion, but if someone does the time and the punishment that they were given, and they fulfill it, they should come out as wholesome as possible, pending people who do like very, very, very violent crimes or something of the sort. But you just see a lot of these stories about people getting out and then they can't get a decent place to live, and they can't get a decent job because they don't get a chance. So I followed a lot of people who give formerly incarcerated people second opportunities, and there's going to be some risks with that, right? That's part of it,
for sure.
But we can't ask these people to get out and get a fair shake if we don't give them a fair shake.
Right.
If you don't give them an opportunity, there's a great chance that they're going to go back to what they were doing.
For sure. And it's crazy because our barber director is actually she was in prison, and so now she's her story is beautiful. Now she's like I said, our barber director, and she's providing haircuts, and she's going back to school to learn how to teach people how to cut hair, and her story is just impactful. And I think her story is actually one of her greatest gifts. And so the fact that like her heart is so pure and she's been through that, she's seen so much that she just has to help, right? Obviously we get to help, but she like, I have to help. And so that's one beautiful thing about her.
Yeah, a lot of these stories I follow and read about formerly incarcerated people, a lot of them are starting in today's world where you can, kind of start your own thing a little easier than you could 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
They're being entrepreneurs and starting their own business because they can't get a fair shake at a lot of places. If you got 30 applicants on paper and you're a felon, a lot of times they won't even look at you. So they're like, I'm just going to start my own thing and make my own money and make a name for myself, and nobody has to know or care that I did some time for maybe a petty charge or something of the sort.
Right. And so I heard a quote the other day. It was like this guy who was trying to find it. He didn't have a dream job, like it just wasn't out there. And he was like, you know what? If you can't like find your dream job, create it. And so that's pretty cool.
That's what you did, huh?
Yeah. I had no clue this was actually a thing at all. But very thankful to be here. Was it
easier or harder than you thought to get it full-blown business status? Because like you said, you were like, I'm helping people out, and you're like, this can be a real growing and massive organization. and you were like, the business side of it, man, I don't know if I want to mess with that.
Yeah.
Because that can be intimidating, and I'm sure you had to hire attorneys or
Yes.
CPAs and all that junk. So was that easier or harder than you thought?
That was extremely hard. So I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing. Like, nobody taught me this, right? Luckily, I had other nonprofits kind of like help me, mentor me out. But nobody just like teaches you this stuff. And so it was very intimidating because obviously, I remember when somebody gave me my first like financial donation. I was like, you want your tax receipt? Here, I was so nervous. I'm like, don't sue me. But it just was like, you don't know. And so, but obviously, like, as a leader, you're always going to be in a posture to learn. And so I love learning. I love trying to just learn more about nonprofits, business, and get the help. So, because I feel like the less you know, the more you like susceptible to like not fail, but just like hurt yourself. And so I'm just very thankful to have people to surround me to do accounting, to be the lawyer and things like that.
I'm sure you'll look back like you are right now and you're like, man, I remember someone gave me $100 and I panicked, didn't know what to do. And
I fainted, I cried. I'm like, you believe in our mission? But it's just even to this day, when I see people, they donate like $5, I'm just so thankful that somebody chose to type in their credit card or whatever and to give us $5. Like you didn't have to do that. Nobody like forced you. Nobody like try to trick you. Like you said, I want to help. I don't care if it's $5. And so we always rejoice over the 5 or the 5 million. Because it helps people. It helps us do this work. It helps just triple our impact.
A lot of people are going to be that volunteer or can volunteer, be working throughout the week. You guys do a lot of weekend events or no?
Yeah. So right now we do 2 weekend events a month. However, that may change. And so, because we do more so throughout the week, outreach, and even at nights as well.
What do you, same thing as at nights, just at nighttime, not during the day?
Yeah, so we go to West Tulsa because nobody, or I shouldn't say nobody, but that's an area that needs some love.
Some attention.
I feel like West Tulsa gets overlooked more than any area in Tulsa, right? And so,
why is that?
I'm not too sure. It's just, when we go out there, there's just like almost like little to no help out there. And so we're like, okay, like, how can we help? And so we make sure we go to West Tulsa every Tuesday nights to make sure that they're safe, they're seen, they're showered up, and they're heard as well. Because, if I live in West Tulsa, if I live at Town West, I'm not going 20 minutes to downtown to take a shower. That's too far of a walk, too far of even a bus. And it's just like that area needs some sort of just love, man.
I wonder if that has anything to do with it being like it's going out towards OKC. You're getting to the highways and, kind of not in the city. You're hopping on and people are going. And so
right, maybe
people just don't think about it as much.
Yeah. I've heard people saying, I'm doing outreach in North Tulsa, West Tulsa, downtown, even South Tulsa. Man, that's great. But I've never heard people saying, you know what, I'm going to West Tulsa tonight and I'm going to do outreach. Like, that even sounds weird saying, it's just like that area needs they need to be heard as well. So,
you got any other nonprofits that are local to Tulsa, Oklahoma that you're pretty fond of or a big follower of?
Yeah, so I love Housing Solutions. They kind of like adopted us pretty much. They they help me out a lot. Becky G, she runs it. She's an incredible person in our city. She's an incredible community leader, and our community's better because of Becky. And so I love her very much. And I know that Mac at the Day Center, he is phenomenal. He is doing some transformational work. And so we're actually in a thing called A Way Home for Tulsa. And what that is nonprofits who want to help, in homelessness. We all come together and build a plan to help end homelessness in our city. We all work together. One thing about Tulsa is very beautiful is we all love working together. We're not trying to compete against you. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to help our community together. And that's why with the mobile drop-in center, it allows other nonprofits to extend their reach. So people who do dental, people who do housing, they can now come out to different locations throughout the community and do it right then and there versus sitting in an office. And so it's beautiful how the mobile drop-in center can help, obviously, people we serve, but also organizations.
There's a lot of companies too, and you probably know this, but a lot of big corporate companies will allow their employees so many hours a year to go to volunteer. So that would be another outlet you could look at, trying to find those companies and sponsor and ask for them, because they like to give back, and of course, you know, it gets that brand recognition for them. I mean,
yeah, and I'm all about that, because we have a sponsorship program where if you want your logo, you can put it on the back of our trailers, and so people like, you know, obviously people want to build a good positive brand, and so just having like you know somebody's logo on the back of our trailer helps us out, but also it's helping, you know, contribute to the business as well. So
I saw this magazine the other day. We went to this business office, and because I don't read a ton of magazines, but is it the Oklahoman or Tulsa People or something? I can't remember. It's actually in there. If I had it, I could tell you, but I think you might be on the cover one day, dude. I could.
Let's do it.
Seriously.
Let's do it, man.
If it was up to me, I'd put you on there. But
I appreciate it. As long as it helps people, you know, we're always down. So
no, absolutely. I think things that grow naturally come from the heart.
Yeah.
And like you said, you had dreams and goals and you didn't know how big it would get, but it's kind of steamrolling, and just from doing the right thing. So
right. And so it's what a crazy story this was, man. I remember growing up, I was sleeping on the floor. I'm like, man, like, am I ever gonna even be anything? Am I just gonna be out here just on these streets? And then now to helping people get out their situation, it's like, man, this is wild. And so hopefully one day BeHeard can have a movie. So
what about your people in Virginia? Are they like, dude, what the hell is Evan doing out there in Oklahoma? Like, oh my gosh.
Well, it's funny because they're like, hey man, like, what we have to do to expand you out here? And so who knows, we might be going to Virginia Beach, the Virginia area, to expand out there to show love to the hometown. And so
there are a lot of people who come and do different things here, but there are a lot of people who kind of like, you're like, what am I doing in Tulsa, Oklahoma? Or this is going to be a short stay, and then it's like, this is home. I love it here.
Yeah. So I never even imagined, like, if somebody would have asked me, like, in the future, where you want to live? I was like, okay, Florida, because, you know, the beaches,
Agreed.
you know, LA, because the vibe.
Yeah.
I would never have been like, okay, my dream is to live in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I don't think anyone's ever said that.
However, this is my dream, and I didn't know it. So it's pretty cool.
That's so cool to hear, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, it's been a pleasure having you on. If you got any last words, you can totally say those. Before I let you go, I always want to have you formally say where we can find you, maybe your social media handles or email addresses or anything like that.
Yeah.
And if you got any last words for me, feel free. But it's been a pleasure. I look forward to trying to contribute to the organization too. Really love to volunteer and get involved.
Appreciate that.
Continue to spread the word. And I'm really glad you came on.
Yeah. So I just want to say, people, they're born looking like their parents, but they die looking like their decisions. And you made a decision to start this podcast, and that I believe it's going to be transformational. And I just say thank you for your decision. Thank you for your yes, for allowing me to be on this podcast and share all the amazing news and stories that we've been a part of. And so by you giving people an avenue to share their stories, like, you will be, like, I feel like you'll be blessed as well, man. So I'm excited to see how this is going to take off, and I can look back and say, hey, one day, or I was on episode 31. Yeah, you know, I get to flex that, you know. So very excited for you in your future. But where you can find us at is on Instagram, BeHeard.movement, and then Facebook, BeHeard.movement, and then our website is BeHeardMovement.com, and YouTube, BeHeard Movement. So.
And you're still doing the channel pretty heavily, or is that taking a step back?
We took a little step back, but this year we're going to do a lot more stories. Even people who are getting their haircuts, we're going to mic them up and just do like a quick 2-minute, 3-minute documentary about their goals and story while they're getting a haircut. So
cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys once again for coming. I know a lot of people are looking forward to listening to this, and I'm glad you came and shared your story, and you're doing big things, and I can't wait to continue to follow you and call you a friend. So
yes,
good work, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'll be back.
Absolutely, you are more than welcome back, man. We'll try and run one of these in maybe 6 months to a year and see how much more it's grown. So
let's do it.